Hi, I'm Richard Bopholz with Paint Covered Overalls. Today we're going to show you how to plant your seeds instead of a seed starter tray. It's that time of year where you should have already started your tomatoes in their seed starters so that when the weather warms up, you can place the tomatoes outdoors as already mature plants. You should have planted them by early March. I am running behind, but a late start is better than no start. You're not actually going to plant them in the ground until you can be sure that the weather's not going to drop below 40 degrees, because tomatoes do not handle cold weather very well. You want the soil temperature to stay above 40, 50 degrees all day, and you want some pretty good sunlight throughout the day. So the setup I have, got the seed packets, got a tray. I use these 10 by 20 trays because you have the individual pockets, but you can also lift them up and you can pour water underneath it, and that allows them to soak the water up from down below instead of disturbing these seeds in the soil. Tomato seeds are small, so they can be easily disturbed if you're pouring water on the top, and you don't want them to get too deep or come back up onto the surface, because then they're not going to germinate properly. I have a little thing that I use to poke the seeds down. Tomato seeds only need to go about 1/8 of an inch deep, so you don't actually poke them. You kind of just want to cover them with just a little bit of soil. Then, of course, something to label them with. And then once I do all of these, then I will pour water in and let them sit on a heated mat under some heat lamps. You just want to keep the soil 70 to 80 degrees so that they can germinate. I have a large bag of soil at my feet, but I've already prepared this tray. So I'm going to adjust the camera, and you're going to see me just doing the tray itself. Okay, the first seeds we are planting are called Blush Tiger. On the back of every single seed packet, you've got instructions. It tells you how long it's going to take to sprout, their temperature, seed depth. I also have this information on the website, paintcoveredoveralls.com, for general categories. So you'll have generally peppers, generally tomatoes in this case, what information they need. I personally keep a spreadsheet as well to keep all my research together, but those are just broad categories. There can be difference between different types of tomatoes. So it's pretty safe to assume that a large beefsteak tomato like the Mortgage Lifter is going to have different instructions than the Blush Tiger, the small Roma size tomato. So what you do, or what I do, if you have a better way, definitely do it your way. So I like to pour it all out into my hand. And then kind of assess how many seeds you have. Most seed packets will tell you roughly how many seeds are in them. And then I have 16 trays, so if I have roughly 32, I'm going to put 2 seeds per compartment. And that's what it looks like, so I'm just going to start with 2 seeds per compartment. They are smaller seeds, so it's hard to get just 2 each time. It doesn't really matter. The important thing is that you have kind of evenly spaced out, so you have the best odds of getting the most seeds, most plants out of the seeds. So if you have really good germination rates, awesome. You'll just thin them out once they start to sprout up, keeping the stronger of the sprouts, and trimming back the weaker. And then I have a lot left over, so I'm just going to keep starting to put 1 or 2 in each container additionally. Try to get it in a different spot so they're not competing for all the nutrients at the beginning. Now, if you got a lot of space, got a lot of trays, you can spread these out as far as you can. I have something like 10 different varieties of tomatoes, so I really only have 16 compartments per tomato variety to do. And you can save some in case you're worried that your batch isn't going to germinate. That's not my approach. If none of my tomatoes germinate, I will just go buy tomato plants that are mature because I don't want to delay too far. All right, and then you got them. You just want to poke them down a little bit. Ideally, you would use better soil than I am. This is just regular gardening soil. It's got a lot of chunks in it. If you use seed starter soil, you're gonna have a lot fewer chunks and you can really just rub your hand across it and bury them. I use what I got. I use what's cheap. Now, you can start these with some compost as well. Give them a lot of nutrients at the beginning. This garden mix I use allegedly has enough nutrients for their first 3 months. And that is well past when they will have been transplanted into the garden. Okay, so that one is done. These are Blush Tiger tomatoes. So, and because I'm doing them instead of groups of 16, every single one, I only need the one tag. If you were doing them in a weird pattern, you might want a separate tag for every single square. It's up to you. This works for me. So, Blush Tiger have been planted. Now, let's do the mortgage lifter. In my case, what's important is that they want the same temperature. It doesn't so much matter the time it takes to sprout or the depth, as long as the temperature is the same, because that's going to determine where on my bench they're going to be. All right, so a similar amount of seeds. It says 25 seeds minimum. This is significantly more than 25 seeds. And I get my seeds from a variety of places. So these particular ones are from rareseeds.com, but I've also picked up some at Home Depot, Burpee. I have a lot from Etsy. I have a few varieties that are from Ace Hardware. I've got some from Amazon. And I keep track of where I buy all of them. And I keep records on how many germinated and how well they perform. So next year I'll be able to purchase from the place that performed the best. Or if it doesn't make a difference, from the place that's the cheapest, or this year it mattered more who had it in stock. There's a lot of people like me starting their gardens this year. So okay. And the same with this one, they want to be an 1/8 of an inch deep. That's not a lot, so if you can just get them barely covered up, you're good. Now, some seed packets will say they just want to be surface planted, and that just means you rest them on the surface. And 1/8 of an inch is the shallowest I've ever seen for ones that actually want to be covered. The general rule they give is 3 times as deep as the seed is thick, and so tomato seeds are very thin, whereas like a pumpkin seed's pretty long, so you can plant that pretty deep. There you have it. Those are all planted. Drop the tag. It's the mortgage lifter. Okay, once I have them planted, labeled, covered, what I do is I move them over here to this section. I bottom water them, and if they want to be especially warm, I cover them. And these ones were done 3 or 4 days ago, and you can see there's already a sprout from the Chadwick cherry. These are the ones I just did. So I got Chadwick cherry, Bonnie Best, Blush Tiger, Mortgage Lifter. I've got Beefsteak, Martino's Roma. Then I've got 2 flowers back there, the Black King Pansy, Bee Balm. There is a cherry tomato. That's from a sucker off of one of my other tomato plants. Some basil, some catnip. And what I have in here, actually, is some muscadine grapes and Carolina Reaper. All right, these are the tomato plants after about 4 days. After planting, you can see that there is substantial sprouts in the plants about 4 days after. The tomatoes I just planted are only 2 days. No sprouts yet. But you can expect sprouts within the next couple of days if they track the same as these other ones. So I got a lot of cherry tomatoes, Bonnie's Best, Beefsteak, and Roma tomatoes from this process. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps you understand how and when you should plant your tomato seeds, give you a rough idea of when to expect results, what temperature to keep them, depth of the seeds, etc. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to post them. I look forward to making more videos and hearing from you. Thank you.